This is the best adaptation of a Lovecraft story I have ever seen. What more can I say? Previously, I had reviewed an earlier book by manga artist Gou Tanabe and was amazed by the quality of it, the attention to detail, the ability to depict Lovecraft stories in a different format so well. As soon as I heard that Tanabe was adapting into manga Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, I picked up the 2-volume series as quick as I could. That was a while ago, and I've read this adaptation numerous times. So, finally, here's my review. First off, I'm not a manga fan, or really a graphic novel type of guy. The written word is fine for me. That said, I had no issues reading through this book, or these books I should say, since it's a 2-volume series. I'm just saying this to assure any of you who are raising an eyebrow at the idea of manga or are skeptical of it. This is surely going to be an exception for you. Okay, so let's look at the various aspects of Gou Tanabe's At the Mountains of Madness adaptation. Since manga is a visual medium, let's start with the art style. The art in these books is astounding, absolutely flawless and amazing to look at on every page and in every panel. At the Mountains of Madness is probably one of the most visual of Lovecraft stories, in that it takes place in an almost foreign world despite being on Earth. Massive mountains that make Mount Everest look small, howling winds, and then later on the exploration of the deserted cities of the Elder Things, not to mention all the other creatures and entities that take place or appear in this story. Tanabe went above and beyond with depicting these things just perfectly. The stereotype of manga and anime is perhaps that the human characters all have spiky hair and have that traditional anime/manga look. I love Akira Toriyama's art style just as much as anyone else, but something like that would be completely out of place here. Tanabe has gone for a hyper-realistic approach when drawing pretty much everything in these books. This is especially important at times. Imagine at the end of the story when Danforth sees whatever he sees that drives him insane, and he looks like this in the manga. No, that would not be fitting at all. In other words, depicting the expressions on the faces of the human explorers realistically is a great help in showing what they're feeling when, for example, they find the destroyed camp or unearth an elder thing for the first time. So the hyperrealism of the artwork is very much a plus. There are but few color pictures in the whole 2 volumes. Normally I prefer color over black and white, but in this case it's fine. After all, it's mainly set in the Antarctic region, and it's all snow and rock anyway, so black and white works very well. But it's not just that it is black and white. I think Tanabe really went above and beyond when it came to using such limited color, that being just black and white after all, to depict so much and to give so much detail. It's really an amazing book to see visually. There are many scenes which are spread out over 2 pages, typically displaying some new and astounding discovery that's always a pleasure to see. So you can say that though you can literally read through these 2 books in about an hour, you're going to want to take your time to enjoy the art. Visually, the highlight of the whole thing comes in the 2nd volume, where the conflict between the Elder Things, the Starspawn, and the Shoggoths is shown in full detail. I will only show this scene to save from spoiling the rest, since the act of reading these books is in itself a visually exciting thing to do. And turning the pages is always amazing, I always felt, because you never know what you're going to see. So I don't want to spoil that for you if you guys decide to pick up these books. For a good few pages, this ancient history is shown in great detail and stunning visuals, which give a feeling of life and movement, much like, as I said in an earlier video review where I looked at The Call of Cthulhu by the Frenchman Francois Berenger. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, visually, these are stunning books. Are there any deviations in this adaptation? Lovecraft's original story is a novella in length, not really a short story, and this manga spans 2 volumes, so it is somewhat difficult to tell if there are any deviations in the adaptation, but from face value I can guess that Tanabe took no liberties with the story, and any differences there might be are so small and palatable that they do not offend or become jarring and become out of place from the source material. As for the story itself, well, it's At the Mountains of Madness. It's pretty much a 1-for-1 adaptation. If you've read Lovecraft's story, you'll know what's going to happen in these books, but don't let that put you off from buying them if you choose to in the end. I'm not going to review the actual story, but if you're completely new to Lovecraft, well, basically it's about an exploration team sent to Antarctica from the Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts. Upon arrival, they quickly discover the preserved remains of something that should not exist. That's all I'll say. It's a great story, and if you really are new to Lovecraft, it's really worth reading. So, Did I dislike anything about it? So far I've just been praising the book, right? I disliked nothing. Nada. Nix. Is it a perfect adaptation? That's a subjective opinion, and here's mine. I honestly cannot think of anything I'd change or felt disappointed by when I was reading this, and I can be a really picky bitch when people adapt Lovecraft stories. That doesn't mean that a better adaptation is completely impossible. Fingers crossed if Guillermo del Toro ever makes At the Mountains of Madness into film, but that's also a different medium, so. But as of right now, this adaptation is without a doubt 100%, 10 out of 10, 5-star adaptation. Perfect. I just love it. Book quality. It's also relevant to mention the actual physical quality of the books. They are coming from a publishing house called Dark Horse Publishing, or Dark Horse Manga, and they are printed in the United States. As I've said, I've read through these multiple times and they are still in great condition, even after carrying them in my backpack to work. The paper is of good quality, the printing is all very clean and neat, I saw no typos or errors, things like this. Something important when it comes to visuals, I think. A hardcover edition would be really nice to see, and perhaps make it 1 or 2 centimeters bigger, but that's really nitpicking. Perhaps one day they'll make that hardcover edition, and definitely I'll be buying that one. So it's definitely worth talking about Gou Tanabe quickly. So, the artist. Gou Tanabe is the man behind the adaptation that we are seeing here today. He is a Japanese manga artist of great talent and whom I featured in a previous video when I reviewed his collection of 3 of Lovecraft stories titled H.P. Lovecraft's The Hound and Other Stories. You can check that video out in a link below, and it'll give you an even better idea of what kind of thing you're going to be getting into if you choose to buy these books. I still cannot find any meaningful information on him or even a picture of him. He has published other manga which seem to be well received, however I have not read any of them and I don't really know about them either, to be honest. What I do know is that this man clearly spent immense time, energy and passion into adapting At the Mountains of Madness, and that such effort can only come from a deep reverence and respect for the source material. He wrote a note in his previous adaptation which I just mentioned, where he states regarding Lovecraft, "By illustrating his stories, I intend to become an apostle of the gods he made. I do not feel my work is yet complete. The images swell in my mind. If I draw it like this, if I do it this way, I hear the divine voice commanding me to continue. I am blessed that you are reading this. You have my gratitude." 2014, Gou Tanabe. His respect to Lovecraft and his expression of gratitude to the fans of the mythos is highly glorious to see. Thank you for that. Oh, and before anyone mentions it, yes, I am aware of his other adaptations such as The Haunter of the Dark. Sadly, I can't seem to find a trustworthy place to order it online, and there's no Amazon in Switzerland, so I'll pick it up eventually. Oh, and I have heard rumors that he is adapting The Call of Cthulhu soon, but so far it seems like it's only in Japanese. So, in conclusion, this is a 5-star adaptation, no doubt. Gou Tanabe went above and beyond in making this 2-volume adaptation, and I cannot recommend it enough, even if you've read the At the Mountains of Madness many times. I might even dare to recommend to beginner readers of Lovecraft who've not yet read At the Mountains of Madness to seriously even consider reading this manga first and then reading Lovecraft's own story, simply because, as long-time readers of Lovecraft will know and support me on this, I think, his writing style, use of language and tendency to go into immense detail at times can be rough for people unaccustomed to it, and At the Mountains of Madness definitely shows this trait of his at times, and this manga evades that issue. It's a lot more concise, direct, but in no ways should you think of it as some sort of abridged version which leaves out important details. I don't often review books despite being, I guess, technically a booktuber, but I have had people tell me that when I do review books and they do buy the books, they are not disappointed at all. So if you've trusted my judgment in the past, trust it now and go pick up these 2 volumes. You won't be disappointed. I will leave a link down below where you can get them at a good price, including free shipping. I hope you enjoyed this book review, and anyway guys, thanks for watching and spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.